Hello and welcome to the Ending Body Burnout Show. We are your hosts, Chris and Philly, co-founders of a multi-award-winning functional medicine practice, serving busy people with energy, mood, and gut issues.
While busyness, addictive doing, people-pleasing, and perfectionism might be the norm, it's not normal, and it's a major contributor to health issues.
Our goal with this show is to give you a holistic root cause approach to healing your body so that you don't have to continue doctor or diet hopping or popping a gazillion supplements hoping something might stick.
So get ready to heal your body, get your spark back, deeply connect with yourself, and step into the life of your dreams.
Let's dive in. All right, guys, welcome to this episode of the Ending Body Burnout Show. This is a really interesting topic. We've got some tips coming your way. Do you want to go ahead and introduce the topic for us today, Hun?
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about our coaching rules. So our rules as coaches, what we abide by to help our clients get the best results possible. And really, why are we doing this topic today? Well, the doors are now open to our Ending Body Burnout method, which is super exciting. We only open doors 3 times a year, and we love to work with people that vibe with us and that deeply feel that we can help them get the results that they want. So this is a great podcast to be listening to right now with doors being open for you to decide if we're the right coaches for you, if we're going to help you get to the deepest root cause of your body burnout and end it for good. Now, we're okay to not be for everyone.
Very okay.
There will actually be a lot of people that won't vibe with how we practice root cause functional medicine, and that's okay. In fact, there's only about 5% of the population that actually do the deeper in our root cause work that we do inside our Ending Body Burnout method. So highly likely 95% of people actually probably wouldn't even be listening to our podcast. So maybe if you're the rare 5%, you're already listening. And if you're outside of that, today you'll know whether we're the right coaches for you or not. Also, if you're a client, this episode will be really great for you as well. We do have lots of clients and past clients listening to our podcast. Hello, beautiful people. So this will be a really nice episode for you. Essentially, it's our agreements to you as well. It's how we show up to serve you and how you can expect us to show up to serve you. So I'm excited to dig into this topic. Also, before we do, just a reminder that our 3-day live event, Unravel Perfectionism and Body Burnout, is kicking off today and it's running over the course of the week. So if you haven't registered yet, just go down to the show notes and click the link to register. If you're listening to this podcast and the event has already happened, that's okay. It will be accessible for the full week, so you can jump down and register and access the coaching experience that we are putting on this week, which I'm really excited about.
The beauty of a podcast is you might be listening to this well after our doors are closed as well. So I think this podcast and what we're going to talk about today is very relevant for you if you've been following along for a while and you're not sure whether or not we are a good fit. Lots of good information for you.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about games. Gamification. So this is a concept that I was introduced to by one of my coaches and mentors, Jamin Fraser. And he's like, yeah, your life is a game. Let's play it like it's a game. And initially I wasn't keen on the concept. My brain connected negative connotations to people using the word game, like you're playing a game with me. And also I wasn't very playful back then either. I'd stopped playing any sports. Games irritated me. I wasn't very gamey person or playful person, so I didn't love it initially. And also all games have rules. And so gamification, to gamify an area of your life, well, there's rules that you live by, that you abide by in order to win the game. And I was at that point in time unraveling my own perfectionism patterns and my own kind of like good girl syndrome, and like everything's got to be right, there's right and wrong. And so the idea of setting rules for myself felt almost counterproductive to what I was trying to unravel. But the more I learned about gamification, I realized it's actually a really fun and playful way of living life on purpose, and it creates so much certainty within the self. So your conscious mind and unconscious mind can be on the same board, knowing that this is the game that you're playing. There's so much certainty, and certainty then creates safety. So it's actually safe to succeed in this game and win the game. Do you want to give some examples of games, or like what a game actually is and how we're using the word game?
Yeah. Okay. So our marriage, we look at our marriage as a game. We look at our business as a game. We look at how, and then there's it's not interpersonal as between you and I, intrapersonal. So my own personal games, the way I play my games, I might have the personal health, the personal way I approach health game. We have a game how we approach our marriage. We have a game how we approach parenting. We have a game inside that game of how we parent a specific child, and we have a totally different way we play the game of parenting for the other specific child. Yeah. We have a way we want to play the game of our dog. You know, sometimes people might have their dog sleep in their bedroom. We play the game of our dog sleeps in her laundry. Yeah. And she loves it. She thrives, and she's healthier for it. And so just like our dog, we thrive in our marriage when we play and according to the rules that we set. Our children, gee whiz, they really thrive when we get really clear on the game we want to play as parents, and they can have a little bit of back and forward as well, how they want to play. They're starting to make their rules for how they want to play the game of being a kid in our family.
Yeah.
So that's a few examples.
We use with our clients. We actually ran a workshop recently on gamifying healing. So even like, how can you bring the concept of a game into healing as well? So what's your game with healing? Different to a game plan. It's actually like you're in the game, you're playing the game. So this is also a lesson, a model that we use in our program, Ending Body Burnout Method. So in the metaphysical side of healing, which is called Spark, there is like a really specific lesson around what's the game that you're playing with your health and with other important areas of your life. If you're a client and you're like, where is that? I'll put it in the show notes so that you can go directly to that.
Can I just talk really quickly about people who have an aversion to the word game? You kind of touched on it, but I think there are some real aversions, and this might be you. When you hear us talk about, what game do you want to play? I don't want to play the game. And from my heart, I think you might be thinking of this from a victim point of view. I've had people play me. This might be something that you're thinking. If you've got an aversion to the term game, maybe that might be you. And so there's some work there for you to get done.
Other aversions might be, but I don't play games. I'm not a competitive person.
Yeah.
Now the thing is, you're playing a game. You're playing many games in your life right now. It's just that often they're happening unconsciously, unintentionally.
Yeah, that's a good word. Intentionally, like really, what we're saying is make life intentional.
Yeah.
So be intentional with it. Whatever that looks like to you, we are going to call that gamification.
Yeah. So the setup of a game, like some questions that when we're creating a game, whether it's personally for ourselves, helping with a client, or doing it together as a couple or in our business, the setup always is what's the game that you're playing? What does the game look like to win? because you need to know what it looks like to win the game and what the game even is before you can set some rules or agreements to live by to win the game. Otherwise, it's like you don't even know what the rules are for. And also, this is a fun one. What are the consequences of breaking the rules? It's like, if you're playing a basketball game and you get fouled out, well, the consequence is you get to go sit on the bench. And that's like not fun. It causes pain, which then helps you to want to play by the rules so that you're a good sport. And also, the rules help you to win the game. If you're constantly getting fouled out, you're not going to win anything. Okay, so that's the setup. Now,
well, I technically speaking, my team did really well and I fouled out every game.
That's because you weren't on the court.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so the setup of the game. So we have a coaching game. So Chris mentioned lots of games that, we play, we help clients play. There might be other games that you're playing as well. One of our games is the coaching game. So the game that we're playing is the Embodied coach. Now, to win the game, winning the game actually looks like our clients get fantastic results. And our business is thriving because of it. So that's what winning the game looks like. The game that we're playing, like ultimately, and this is really like the first rule or the agreement, is the Embodied coach. And so what does this mean? Well, it actually means that we live what we coach. There's nothing that we ask of or teach of clients that I haven't done myself, both in the physical realm. I'm talking about me personally, by the way, with the physical realm, lab testing, supplements, lifestyle, and in the metaphysical realm. So beliefs, trauma work, reprogramming, regulating, anything that and Chris and I both have our own strengths or aspects of how we work with clients in the scope of ending body burnout. But there's nothing that we coach by that we haven't already done ourselves. So that's the Embodied coach. When I am nailing this game, it looks like, and I'm going to talk about this specifically to me because I actually created this or upgraded this quite recently as well. So winning the game, the Embodied coach game, looks like I listen to my body and my unconscious mind. I trust and deeply love myself. I back myself. I'm the boss. I'm the queen. I follow through with what I need in order to thrive and in what feels aligned. I daily spend time filling my cup up. Work and to-dos happen around this in a flowful way. I love and connect with my family. Now, by the way, winning the game doesn't mean like this happens all the time perfectly, but far out, I know I'm nailing the game when this is my reality most of the time. I teach my children to be resourceful and to look after their body and mind. I'm soft and playful and loving with Chris. And, I'm playing the marriage game. I lean into personal growth and expansion, understanding that new levels of growth will bring up uncertainty, and I will work to create safety as I up level. Another way that I'm winning the game and playing the Embodied coach game is my body and mind are healthy. It's the natural consequence of just trusting and loving myself. I'm adventurous, spontaneous. I'm defined by what I do. I'm not defined by what I do or achieve, especially when it comes to work. And at the same time, I know that I am a magnet for success. It's just the natural consequence of backing myself. And I nourish my spiritual being. So that's what it looks like for me personally to live as an embodied coach, which is essentially agreement number one, that to win the coaching game, I must be the embodied coach. And I know that when I'm living as an embodied coach, I get access to be a phenomenal coach. So not only does it feel awesome for myself and I get to step into my queen, leadership energy, coaching power, but it also opens the door to serving our clients in the best way possible. So it creates certainty and safety for clients. There's like evidence that it's possible. There are clear, repeatable steps to get there. I'm not just winging it. I'm not just winging results. I know exactly what I've done in order to create the results that I have and that I live.
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
Two things. One, when you're an embodied coach, you get access to being a phenomenal coach. So that's the key, literally. Embodied coach, key to access being a phenomenal coach. So I think that's really important. In all the games that we play and that you play, that gets you access to the outcome that you want, like some way, shape, or form. The other thing, you just said it. It's just it's intention. You're not winging it. You're not fluking it. Sure, you might get what you want by fluking it unintentionally, but that's just haphazard. It's rare. It might come along. It might not. There's certain things that you can control in regards to an outcome. Thoughts, feelings, words, and actions. So stop winging it, guys. Make some rules. Find the game that you want to play. Stop winging it. Be intentional. It really is the short. It's the short. If you want to call it a shortcut, it is the shortcut. Just get really clear on what you want.
Yeah. Around the access to a phenomenal coach, I was actually just thinking about a conversation I had recently with a lady who's like, yeah, it sounds good, your ending body burnout method, but I don't know, I'm a bit sus. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Why? Let's dig into that. She's like, well, like, I mean, you're doing like things over here, and she did this thing with her hands, this fluffy thing with her hands. I'm like, oh, what do you mean by that? She's like, oh, like, you're not a GP, you're not a registered psychologist, you're kind of like over here in like the holistic field. And I'm like, oh, okay, interesting. And by the way, when I'm an embodied coach, I don't care when someone says that. Because I know that I can get great results for me, and so therefore I can get great results for clients, regardless of what certificates I have on the wall, which, by the way, I have a PhD certificate, so that's pretty good. But it's more that there are very little coaches, therapists, psychologists, practitioners, doctors that are fully living as the embodiment of what they preach. And that's the difference between being able to hold someone's hand and navigating them through the challenges. Like, if you haven't experienced that yourself and you don't know how to troubleshoot yourself for yourself, how the heck can you do it for a client? You might have read some things in a textbook or, done an exam around it. But if you haven't embodied it, then it's very hard to lead a client to the results that you've created for yourself. And by the way, a lot of practitioners, coaches, doctors are sick and burnt out. Okay. So rules. So the other rules and agreements that follow are really holding up rule number 1 around being an embodied coach. So the second rule is we do not Bandaid or manage. Now, what I've experienced is that a lot of people gravitate to functional medicine and natural therapies because they're done with the medical system. And they use the language too. It's like, oh, the doctors are just giving me a Band-Aid approach. They're just trying to manage my symptoms. And so people gravitate to functional medicine or different natural therapies. However, the sad truth is there are many practitioners and coaches in the natural holistic world that are still giving Band-Aid approaches wrapped up as a natural approach. And therefore, like, the brain goes natural, it must be root cause. But it's actually not. There are so many natural Band-Aids, like, oh, I've done a lab test, you've got leaky gut, here, take glutamine, eat some fermented foods. It's like, hang on, like, yeah, cool, that might actually heal the gut lining, but it's going to just like totally become like leaky again if you're not addressing the deeper root cause around your own tiger chasing inside of you that's causing dysregulation and breaking down your gut lining.
Even symptom work, like body systems and symptoms, like, like treating with the protocols, doing the functional medicine, the natural approach. Yeah, it's just so prevalent. It doesn't address the root cause, like how you even got there in the first place.
Yeah.
That tiger.
Yeah. And even things like, I don't know, again, this isn't a dig in any type of modality because we we use a lot of different types of modalities, but if one modality is done on its own, it often ends up just being a management tool. So even something like, say, yoga or meditation or hypnotherapy, it's like, yeah, but are you actually getting to the root of who you are? Energy healing is a good one as well. I love it. It's great. Seen some pretty phenomenal things come from it, but it can end up being a rescuer type dichotomy where you have to continue going to this practitioner to heal you when you don't even know who you are and why you're burnt out in the first place. So we're done practicing Bandaid management approaches. When you enter into our ending body burnout method, expect a root cause approach. That is what you receive. And the result and prize of that is that you end your body burnout for good. This is also a reason why I personally don't work ongoing with a client who only wants to do surface level treatment like supplements, diet, lifestyle protocols. It's a hard no now. There was a period of time where I was sitting in consults like this, and every time I had a consult like this, I was physically feeling ill, like I wanted to vomit. And it was a clear sign from the deepest part of me that wants the best for me, that doing this as a Bandaid approach was a clear signal that it was out of alignment with my mission to end body burnout. Number three. Mind or body, they both belong. So this is another agreement. We practice from the presupposition that the body and mind is connected. So therefore, you don't treat the mind and the body as separate things, or we don't treat as the mind and body as separate entities. That's where the medical system is stuck, because they're treating different body systems as separate. And then come to functional medicine and it's like, oh, all these body systems fit together, but what about all the other parts of you that you can't see, that you can't run a lab on? So body burnout always has a physical and a metaphysical component. And to reach resolution, you cannot separate the two. So if you just want SOPs and labs and some lifestyle tips, we're not the coaches for you.
Or surgery or a drug. Cut it out or artificially enhance it. There's a place for all of that. It's just not our place.
Yep. Rule or agreement. I'm using rule agreement interchangeably because sometimes people have a negative aversion to rule as well. It's just like, yeah, rule. Agreement is softer, gentler. Number 4 is, and this is more specifically for me because I straddle both the physical and the metaphysical when I'm working with a client. So I signal the practitioner versus the coach hat. I got into trouble when I wasn't doing this, so when I'm wearing the practitioner hat, that's like the functional medicine advice giver hat. That's where I'm like, these are your labs. This is what is showing up. This is what you need in order to be able to heal that body system. Now, the coach hat is very different. The coach hat is essentially, I am not the expert here. I am purely the mirror and the guide, helping you to return back to you. And there was a time in the past where those were getting mixed up, and then I was confusing the client too. They're like, whoa, hang on. Not that they would say this, but I could just see it happening in their mind that they're like, are we advice giving here or are you coaching me? I'm confused. When we step into the coaching role, that permission must be given. And generally when someone joins our ending body burnout method, that is a sign that permission is given. But sometimes that permission or the request or ask of that needs to happen in a coaching session as well. And so when I'm transitioning from the practitioner hat to the coach hat, I'll generally signal that. And if I'm feeling resistance, I will ask permission. Because if the client is confused, and they're feeling like there's judgment now, so judgment can come when advice giving is coming in the wrong space, then there's basically like a shutdown and a lack of rapport. So that is a rule for me. Number 5, you say this one because you like this one.
Yeah, it means a lot to me.
Read out the title first.
The rule is we don't care. And I'm a coach that doesn't care. And it sounds blunt, but there's so much truth and there's love underneath. I'm just going to go off script for a sec. Like it's that is an attention grabber for sure sometimes in consults when I'll say that or a first conversation. And I've had many people say, oh, well, you're a bit rude then. And it's the most loving and kind thing that I can do because I'm not bringing my way of living and my rules and my map of the world to you. And I'm not attached to anything that you have going on in your life. And that's really a caring thing.
Yeah. And so I'm a coach that doesn't care. Now I had to sit with that agreement as well for a long time because initially it didn't feel good. It's like, but I do care. Like I care deeply. Otherwise I wouldn't be doing the thing. Like my purpose is to help people end their body burnout. But when I really deeply understood what it actually meant and essentially if I'm a coach that doesn't care, I can step out of the way.
Yeah.
So there's no neediness. So if I'm a coach that doesn't care, then I'm unattached to your outcome. I'm unattached to whether you say you're going to do the thing that you say you're going to do or not. I'm unattached to whether a client agrees or not with me. I'm attached to whether a client quits or not. So that helps me personally to show up without an agenda, like my own personal agenda, and without judgment. I'm purely there, like there's a clean slate to be able to serve the client. It sometimes in my language with the client, it might be, I don't care. Okay. So if a client's leaning out and they're like, oh, this is too hard. Oh, no, this isn't going to work anymore for me. And they're leaning out. Usually I will say, I don't care what you do. I don't care whether you end your body burnout or not, because I don't need you to get results for me to feel good about myself. I already feel good about myself because I've done the work. Like I have ended my body burnout and I know how to get you there. So if you're leaning out, if you're running away, I don't care. And it's the most loving thing I can say to you right now. Because no one else in your world can say the truth like this in such a blunt way. And the truth is what is going to set you free. So I love this rule now. I love it.
That's so good.
Rule number 6, guides, not rescuers. So we are the guides, not the rescuer. The cool thing around this one is that it places you as the hero, not us. So it's sort of like a follow-on from we don't care. We don't show up needy for you to get results so that we can feel good about ourselves. And in a similar vein, we're the guide, not the rescuer. You're the hero. It's kind of like you like the movies. Give a few movie examples.
So Gandalf, or Dumbledore, not Harry Potter. We're not Frodo. You're Frodo. We are Obi-Wan and you're Luke. Are they good?
They're good. So as the metaphor, if you think about Harry Potter, I was thinking Gandalf was his guy, but that's not right. Dumbledore.
You're so cute.
Harry's the one that gets the transformation. Dumbledore's already got his. He's the guide, not the hero. And the thing around the guide is the guide at some point gets out of the way. You don't need to be dependent on the guide for the rest of your life. And so if we came into our service to you as with rescuer energy, that means that we're needy and we need someone to help, which then kind of like keeps you in this weird codependent relationship with a coach or a practitioner who is a rescuer. They actually, one, don't know how to get themselves out of a rescuer pattern, so therefore they haven't fully healed. But also, two, they need a victim. They need someone to to remain sick or not fully well so that you can continue being in their space and they can continue being their rescuer. That can also come back to a financial thing as well. Like, it's like, I won't give you the full resolution so you can stay in my membership until the day that you die. So it gets weird, it gets murky, it gets messy. It definitely doesn't serve the client. It's all about the coach or the practitioner. The other thing around guide, not rescuer, is that we're not your accountability buddy. So sometimes you might have experienced this, you might have hired someone to help you and they have been your cheerleader, your accountability buddy. They make sure you get the results by sending you texts every day. Have you done the thing? That's a very rescuer energy, and it might help you get the result because you feel accountable to them. But it definitely doesn't teach you to step into your own leadership and your own trust with self. And it only will ever lead to short-term results or rebellion at some point. You'll get to the point where it's like, oh my gosh, I haven't done the thing and now I feel so bad. And they're going to think I'm a bad person and I've let them down. It's like, no, if a coach is a guide, not a rescuer, you can actually never let them down. Number 7. We don't work harder than the client. Oosh. So if I or Chris, if we want it more than the client, things get weird again.
It's victimy again. It's like, yeah.
It gets needy again. It's like, come on, you have to do the thing. Or you have to see this exactly the way that I see it. You have to end your body burnout.
So temporary.
Yeah. It's temporary. So again, it's a little bit like accountability, the accountability buddy. It's like, come on, I'm going to work so hard to keep you accountable so you do the thing.
Because that's me caring. If I was to be that kind of person, which in the past definitely was. That's me caring more than you. I care more than you about the thing that you say that you want. Like that's not going to work. And now you might be able to see how these rules interlock and how they fit together.
Yeah.
Hey,
so it's not like it won't lead to healing if you don't want it. If I want it more than you, then you can't heal.
That's boring too.
It's boring.
We both get very bored by that. Honestly, if you don't really want it, you haven't gotten clear on what you do really want, and you might find that this whole healing journey, you don't want it enough. And or there's some pretty big secondary gains and benefits of being where you are. Yeah.
So it's kind of like, yeah, like you fix me. I have pain, you fix me, or you work harder than me. You make sure I get the results. But actually unconsciously there's often some deep-seated secondary gains around staying unwell. It's actually unsafe to be well. And so therefore, if we try and work harder than you to make sure you get the results, it doesn't work. I mean, there's a way that will break through and can help break through the resistance around that, but that energy never works.
I got a real life example about this. Can I share?
Sure.
Okay, so I've had a conversation with a client recently at the time of this recording. Won't mention names, but they said, "Oh, I thought if I did the private one-on-one with you, that's all I would have to do. I'd just rock up for a phone call here and there and everything. She'll be right, mate." And then they learned very quickly that no, they had to plug their thoughts into outlet. They had to do the work in between our coaching calls. They had to want it. And so it was a beautiful moment for this client to realize that there's actually a little bit more than having a chat every week. There was some work. They had to roll their sleeves up and get to work on themselves, really dig deep. There was some actual literal tears. There was some points of frustration for them. And it was a beautiful, beautiful moment where they realized they aren't going to be rescued. Philly and I aren't here to rescue them. They had to want this, and they did. They did. And to their credit, they showed up. They did roll their sleeves up. They did do the work. And it's been the work is still going, but it's been a privilege and an honor, and it's been fun to watch them on their journey as they work.
Another way that this can show up subtly. So if a coach or practitioner is like, oh, I have to work harder than the client, from the client perspective, the client can be quite challenging in terms of like, you have to prove to me that every single little thing that you talk about, that you recommend, that you advise is going to work.
Exhausting. It's
like, oh my gosh. It's like, this is why we have a podcast and a book and like so much free content that if you join our Ending Body Burnout method and you still need to prove to me that this will work before I do the thing, then it's like, maybe you haven't listened or read or consumed enough content yet. Again, it's coming from a very victim energy of like, you prove to me, and oh, sorry, I just spat on Chris. You prove to me that this is going to work, and if it doesn't, then it's your fault, not mine. And so that's where some practitioners, coaches will end up working harder than the client, and we don't agree to that. That is not one of our rules that we live by.
No rep.
Okay. So, number 8, shine a light on the blind spots boldly. Why are you laughing?
I just read the script. Keep going.
The dot points.
Yeah, I read the dot points.
The dot points. Well, my one under this was Chris has always been quite good at this. In fact, maybe he was a bit too hardcore initially.
That's what I was laughing at.
I remember when he joined, so this probably would have been like old Chris, kind of like army days, and then kind of like more grunge, gym, CrossFit, strength training. It's like, I'll tell you when you're weak. I'll show you your weaknesses. Blind spot, blind spots, blind spot. And I remember when you joined my practice.
It was like I would show you your blind spots by pointing a big beam in your eyeballs, burn you.
And I remember when you joined my functional medicine practice, and we evolved it into Chris and Philly functional medicine. There was some free discovery calls.
They were great.
Where you were just a bit too intense, a bit too like hammer and tongs. And it's like, hang on, the people that are coming to this practice, their capacity is low and their nervous system is fragile as a starting point. So let's shine the blind spots, but we'll do it in a loving, gentle way. And sometimes it needs to be fire and brimstone. But personally for me, this was definitely an agreement, a rule that I had to do a lot of work on. So I had to be the embodiment of this at first. I had to do my own inner work and shine a light on my own blind spots and be very honest and vulnerable with them. And that was also for me, I had to unravel, reprogram people-pleasing, good girl type tendencies of like, oh no, I don't want to ruffle any feathers. Oof, if I say something that, and I shine a blind spot and on something that the person is trying to hide, either from themselves or from me, I might offend them. So I had to do a lot of work around that. And it feels so good to now have the agreement as a coach that I'm able to shine a light on your blind spots, call out your bull crap boldly from a place of compassion.
It's been nice to have a integration of our two parts, myself becoming more feminine and softer and receiving, and that's been enjoyable. It makes life a lot easier when I can still be masculine and blokey, but have a softer side that's more receiving. But then also I've seen in you, probably both, like your masculine sides goes from masculine, unresourceful to more of a resourceful masculine and a feminine softness. But you can like really, as you put it, like boldly point out blind spots without taking in unresourcefully, femininely, energy.
I think the big thing for me too that clicked in my head where it's like, oh, oh, this is why it's important to shine a blind spot boldly, was when I realized that old me being soft and cautious and like don't ruffle feathers was actually more dangerous.
Yeah.
It was more dangerous because I was keeping the client stuck in their cycle of stuckness. And so then when I had that like light bulb moment and realized the most loving and safest thing I could do for this client in front of me right now is to shine a light on their blind spots boldly, it was like, poof, that was kind of like the integration of the feminine resourceful too, as well as the masculine of doing, inserting, shining the light, but also from that place of love and safety. I love it.
One of the best questions that I find myself asking time and time again as a coach is, are you okay if I tell you something that I've noticed? Or, change the words a little bit, essentially just pointing out a blind spot, but boldly. Sometimes the answer is no, but and that's interesting because then they just don't care. So like, why do I even care anyway? But if they say, yeah, please, I'm like, excellent. This is what I've noticed.
And I don't think I've ever had someone say no recently who's inside our Ending Body Burnout Method program who has agreed to the rules of the game as well. Because it's like, it's not, sometimes it's a, oh, yes. Sometimes it's an excited and like a very profound, like, yes, please do. But it's always a yes, even though it might come with discomfort.
Permission is so powerful. Once we ask that question, and you might find you can ask that question to somebody else as well. It's real powerful.
Yeah. Rule number 9, agreement, is intuitive and perceptive. So I believe that an embodied coach and an exceptional coach is someone who is intuitive and perceptive, first and foremost, inside of their own signals and their own body, but also being able to be intuitive and perceptive to the client as well, like the shifts in like their muscles in their face, in their tone, in the pauses, in the breath, in those tiny moments that tears start bubbling to the surface, but then they disappear because the person has started like putting the mask back on. Being able to pull that out, for me, and I believe also for you, Chris, is a really important agreement that I coach by. Number 10, co-creation and higher purpose. So what we've created inside the Ending Body Burnout Method and how we serve our people is so much bigger than us, and also even bigger than the clients that we serve. So the higher purpose of Ending Body Burnout, I really feel that I'm living on this planet in this season of my life, and I went through a decade of suffering and wholeheartedly trying to get to the root of my own body burnout. All of that was for the greater good of now being able to share a really clear, repeatable method for others to be able to do the same. And oh my gosh, when our clients show up and wholeheartedly follow the steps, they get great results every time. And so, yeah, I really believe, like from a spiritual point of view, that this is why I'm here on this planet at this time. And so I'm receptive and I'm open to channeling in whatever we need to do in order to help heal the planet.
Yeah. Full stop.
Yep, full stop. No more needed to be said there.
Well, okay, one little thing. Okay, so if you notice and you go back and listen to this again, and you write these rules down, some of them seem to be oil and water. They seem to be this or that. But that last rule that we talked about, so co-creation, but we're not your rescuer. We're going to... You're the hero. We don't work harder than you. We don't care. We're disconnected from outcome, but we're co-creating with you. And it's not one or the other. It's one and the other. It's not a dichotomy. It's a integration. It's bringing that all together. And you might be able to do that for yourself as well with certain rules in your life. And that's when we can bring all these things together, it creates something really beautiful and profound.
Beautiful. And last rule, number 11, we create certainty. I think certainty is so important. You can't heal when your body's in danger. Danger occurs when there's uncertainty. Confusion occurs when there's uncertainty. Getting stuck in the cycle of practitioner, diet, supplement, course hopping occurs when there's uncertainty. So we work to create certainty that it not only is possible to end body burnout and not just Bandaid and manage symptoms and patterns it is possible because we embody it. And then with that co-creation, other clients are embodying it and then they're passing it down to their children and to their community. And that's what I mean by the whole planet can get healed. So there's certainty that it is possible. There's certainty that there are repeatable, intelligent, effective steps to heal both physically and metaphysically, which is really important. Our clients that follow the steps wholeheartedly and get results, they haven't winged it. They're not special. They are special, but they're not special that they got the results and someone else doesn't get the results. It's a testament that there's certainty that you can solve this when you follow the steps. And safety. So when there's certainty, this creates safety, and then safety creates healing.
And then one more layer on that as well is stories, like meanings that you can make about yourself. So when you're certain in and of yourself and you feel safe in and of yourself, you can tell yourself more empowering stories that are resourceful and that allow this whole process just to keep going around and around in a spiral upwards, a virtuous cycle and a virtuous spiral, onwards and upwards. It's beautiful. Safe, certainty, stories, nervous system regulation. It's wonderful.
Okay, so that's what you can expect as coaches.
And you might not like that.
And you might not like that, and that's okay.
Now you know.
Now you know. Woo, that's probably good before you stepped into the method and then you're like, crap, what is this? This feels challenging and scary.
Yeah.
Okay, so as we mentioned before, doors are open to our Ending Body Burnout method. They do close on Tuesday the 28th, 9 p.m. Sydney, Australia time. We only open doors a few times a year, so next time won't be until end of May. And it's the start of the year. I'm sure you've probably created some goals around health and healing and what you want to get out of life. So jump in, actually make these goals a reality rather than another year that's gone by where you had your goal list and nothing's happened. And if you want to experience our style of coaching in action, in real time, then jump down to the show notes, join our 3-day live coaching week. 3-day live coaching week kind of does span over the course of a week. And we're going to be digging into unraveling perfectionism patterns and other busy type burnout patterns and how to heal your body burnout for good. It's going to be awesome. Day 1, which is today, we're going to be looking at the body systems that burn out when you're running perfectionism, busy burnout patterns. Day 2, we'll look at the root cause or the root cause, what actually caused your body systems to burn out and what's the deep root cause of these patterns that you're playing. And day 3, we'll move into food and move. So we'll be moving into lifestyle, but from the place of changing the way that you are being and living from a place of flow, not force. So it's going to be really wonderful. Would love to have you along, and you can register at the link below, or if you have missed the live, you can watch back the recording.
Love it. Thanks so much, Jai. Jais and guys. If your
Guys
name's
and
Jai,
girls.
thanks for coming on. All right, we'll catch
See
you
you,
later.
Jai.
See you, Jai. Goodness me. And done.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Thank you so much for listening. We so appreciate you. If you'd like to give us extra smiles, drop us a review and spread the love by sharing this episode.
You can also rate your own state of burnout and the root cause contributors by taking our Ending Body Burnout Assessment on our website. And if you're interested in learning about our group or one-on-one Ending Body Burnout programs, shoot us a DM via Instagram or Facebook.
Have the best day ever.